Hey guys, it's Brie from Precious Stars Pads. So basically today's video is going to be about an experience I had on Sunday, and there's quite a lot I want to get done in this video, so I'm just going to go straight into it and start at the very beginning. And I have made some notes in the back of my Filofax, so if you see me looking down, that's why. But first of all, I'm going to tell you the story behind this particular video. So on Saturday I filmed for you guys my period vlog. And everything was kind of going okay. I had some cramping at dancing, but nothing major. And then on Sunday, I woke up in the morning, was fine, didn't really have any cramping at all actually, which is quite common for me, to wake up with no cramping and then kind of slowly get it later on in the morning. And that's what happened. About an hour later I started cramping a bit, so I decided to take a Nurofen tablet, just one, of just the normal Nurofen, not the period one or anything. And then about 10 minutes later, I'd say the cramping got a little bit more intense, so I decided I would take a second one. But it was still manageable at this point, and it wasn't making me think, oh, I'm going to have a lot of pain. And I think about literally 2 minutes after I took that one, I just sat forwards, or I think kind of, well, there's no such thing as TMI on this channel, but basically I felt like I really needed to poo. And you know when you like can't go, or you can't be bothered to get up and you just kind of hold it in? Like my muscles kind of did that cramping sensation, and I moved forwards, and as I moved forwards, the pain just hit me like that, and it was so sharp. It was like stabbing pain in my uterus, and I was doubled over. I could not move. And it didn't wear away. Usually when that happens, like I get it when I need the toilet, but very occasionally, and I was thinking, oh, maybe it's just going to wear away like that would, because that usually lasts for 5 seconds and it starts to go away. But no, this just got more and more intense, and I've eventually got up thinking if I go to the toilet, maybe if I go and do a poo, it will help. Went to the loo, did manage to poo, but then it just didn't stop. It was getting so bad. I mean, I couldn't move. And I just kind of was getting really lightheaded, you know, when the blood rushes to your head and you get really hot. So I just kind of reached behind me, flushed the toilet, and then collapsed onto the floor. I was thinking, crap, this is getting really bad. And I called my mum, and she didn't respond, so I called my dad, because I had seen that my parents' bedroom door is thankfully right next door to mine, and the bathroom's kind of between the two. So I opened the door to the bathroom and was like, Dad, and he said, yeah. I was like, can you go and get Mum? I really need her. And not quite as calm as that, let's say. I was pretty much screaming in pain at this point. Mum came down and I was like, Mum, Mum, Mum. It was so bad. As she came in, and I was like, this is my period. She knew I was on my period, she always knows. And the problem was I knew I needed to take Cocodamol. Cocodamol is a mix of paracetamol and codeine, and it is the one thing that I know will get rid of this pain, but it takes like 10 minutes to start to kick in. And at this point I was feeling sick, because when I get into a lot of pain I start to feel really nauseous. So then what happens is I get Mum to go and get that, and obviously I didn't have anything else like my phone or anything, so she went and got my Cocodamol, and she got my apple juice that she'd brought me earlier on in the morning, I think, and I managed to take this pill. But then I felt really sick, and the problem was I had to lie on my back. She was on her knees behind me, and I was just kind of lying against her knees and squeezing her hand, like kind of screaming through this pain. It was horrifying. It was really awful, and the problem was something felt wrong this month. Like I'm a dancer, so I'm used to knowing where boundaries are on my body, where it's like okay to push it a bit, and where it's okay, you just have to stop at that point. So, you know, and also having chronic fatigue syndrome, I know my limits, and I have had bad period pain before, but this was different. This was like sharp stabbing pain, and I knew that something was wrong. So I was lying back against my mum, and she was on her knees, as I said before, and I was leaning back against her. And the only reason for this was I had my head and my shoulders on her knees, so I was basically lying down at an angle. But this didn't really give me much relief in my pelvic area, because lying on your back is the worst position you can do when you're in this. You know, you want to like naturally do it, but actually you need to stand up or sit up or lean forwards, because the problem is gravity pushes down on all your organs and squishes them, so it actually makes the cramping worse. But I knew that I would go lightheaded any time I sat up, so I had to lie down so that I wouldn't go lightheaded, and then I wouldn't feel quite so sick. And I still felt nauseous, and I knew I was going to throw up, but it was just a case of I needed to push it off for as long as possible so I could let the codeine get a chance to kick in. And I probably kept down for about 5 minutes before I had to get up and started throwing up into the toilet, which was not pleasant. And the worst part about throwing up is when you throw up and it actually goes through your nose as well. That's horrible, because in your mouth it's easy to get out of, I've discovered. You know, you just slush some water around and then take mouthwash and you've got rid of the taste, but your nose is so hard to get the smell out of. Sorry if this is gross, but this is what happened. And yeah, after that I was like, Mum, can you run me a bath? So she ran me a bath, and I'm not kidding, I am buck naked on the floor. We're just shoving towels on my bum because there's no way I can put a pad on. I am not like moving my legs, so I'm basically bleeding onto toilet roll and onto my bath towels, which are beneath me, just lying on this floor. And that's how I know I'm really sick, when my dad is like outside and I could not care less about the fact that I am naked. And it's also winter over here, it's really cold on Sunday morning, but I was baking hot, I was just radiating out heat, but I knew that the heat from the bath would also help. So yeah, I got in the bath and I was still cramping pretty intensely and it was still pretty horrible. And I was going lightheaded, and Mum wanted to go out and take all the old towels that I just bled onto outside, and I was like, no Mum, you really can't leave, I don't feel like I'm going to stay with it. I felt like I was going to pass out. But once I got into the bath, about 2 minutes later, my body started going into what I like to call the contraction phase, which is where the medication is starting to kick in and you get waves of relief in between it. And I mean, it's literally 5 seconds of relief. You get 5 seconds of no pain before it hits you again for 30 seconds. But oh my gosh, those 5 seconds mean it's much more bearable because you can just get breathe through those seconds. And it's important to get deep breaths in, like I know that that helps with the pain, but this is excruciating pain. So yeah, here I am in the bath and I stay in there for about 10 minutes and I feel like I've been in there for an hour, and Mum's like, no, you took the Cocodamol like 7 minutes ago, and I'm thinking, oh god, I know it takes 10 minutes to kick in. But I think also the Nurofen by that point was helping, so I was having 2 different medications kick in, and because Nurofen is ibuprofen and Cocodamol is codeine and paracetamol, I did make sure that I didn't overdose on one or other of those, but I really did need to take that codeine. It did start to kick in, and then a bit, like 5 minutes later, I was getting longer periods of breaks, but you know, even like 5 seconds really helps. But once you get to 30 seconds, you know, that's just like bliss. But it's still really painful, so I had to get out of the bath in one of those like 30-second breaks. And then by that point the medication was kicking in, I was no longer feeling nauseous or heady, and I could just about stand up, and I managed to actually lie on the floor, get some knickers on and a pad, and then I had like the towel covering my body, and I just got my hoodie on halfway. If you're on my Instagram page, you'll have seen a picture of me with this, just literally over my head, and I just could not be bothered to bring it down any further. And I also managed to leak right off the back of my pad because I bled in the centre, and I had a 12-inch pad on, but I still bled off the back of it because I was lying flat on my back. So yeah, the floor of my bathroom is also carpet, which didn't exactly help. Then I had to get up again and clean myself up and put a different pad on. But by that time it was okay, the pain was pretty much gone, and I was really annoyed because it was about 10 o'clock in the morning and I was supposed to be going to have breakfast with Megan. If you don't know who Megan is, she's the little baby, well, not breakfast with Megan, breakfast with her parents. She's the little baby who I sometimes babysit, she's a friend of the family. We were going to meet her and her parents for breakfast that morning, and I was like, I am going, I don't care what I've taken, I'm going, and I'm not really there with it when I've taken Cocodamol because it's quite strong stuff. But I did go eventually and had the breakfast, but you know, it was just, oh my god, it was a horrible, horrible morning, but luckily I got to see Megan at the end of it, and I was still cramping a little bit, like mild cramps, and usually Cocodamol gets rid of everything, but by the time I had like, the very, very mild, non-painful cramps, they just kind of feel like tightness down there. It was much better, but luckily she cheered me up. After that experience, and actually whilst I was lying on the floor and the pain was starting to ease off after I'd had my bath, I said to my mum, I need to see someone about this. This is not cool. This is not normal. Something needs to be done, because if my mum or my dad hadn't been here, I would have been totally screwed. I did not have my phone on me. I could not move my legs properly, so I couldn't have got my pain medication, which is in my room. I would have been completely screwed, and I can only have hoped that the Nurofen would have started to kick in and do something, which would have made me better and I could get up and perhaps go and get my phone, if not the medication, to call somebody. But oh my gosh, it was really scary, and it made me realise I need to do something. So that brings me on to my kind of list. So I have a couple of things that I know need to be done. The first thing is, the reason I've waited a little bit longer to do this video is because yesterday, which is Wednesday, it's Thursday today when I'm recording this, you'll see this tomorrow though, I had my energy healer. He works on my eyesight and on my energy levels for my ME, but he's never worked on my periods before. And I realised actually I could probably ask him to do something. And so on Wednesday morning, which was yesterday, as I said before, I'd just eaten breakfast when I had to call him, and I always feel kind of sick after I've eaten. So I did manage to speak to him about it, and he said he would check it out. When he says check it out, it means he's going to like use his healing stuff to feel around there, see if anything's wrong. And I did feel kind of lightheaded afterwards, which he said would be normal because he released something. So he worked on that for me, but I didn't get a chance to ask him if he could do it every week, so I will do that in my next appointment, which is either on Friday this week or Friday next week. I'm not entirely sure, but I will ask him then. But the other thing I did was I was just determined, I thought, you know, for this, something felt wrong. I think I need a scan. I mean, I've had ultrasounds before, I've had urine tests, I've had blood tests, I mean, you name it, I've had it done. But I did manage to find 2 clinics near me which specialise purely in menstrual health, which is exactly what I need. I need to see someone who will understand. I want to solve the underlying cause of this. And this is one thing I know someone will mention, the pill. I have had horrible reactions to hormonal treatments in the past. I had one done for Emmy, and I can't for the life of me remember its name or what it was done, but I do remember very vividly that my Emmy doctor told me, you know, the fact that this you've had a bad reaction to this, you're probably going to react to other hormonal stuff, and I should probably tell you hormonal contraception is pretty much out of the picture for you. It's probably not going to work if nothing else. And actually, I really, really don't feel comfortable putting hormones in my body. I wouldn't take the pill for pain at all. You know, the pill is meant for contraception, it's not meant for pain management. And this is one thing people don't seem to understand a lot, and I think is very misleading. The pill does not solve an underlying issue. What the pill does, and the best description I've ever come across for this is, imagine you're driving your car and a warning light comes up on the dashboard. The pill is like taking a bit of duct tape and sticking it over that warning light. You know, you've masked the problem, you can no longer see that it's there, but you haven't actually done anything to solve the root cause of that problem. That's what the pill does, and that's why I really, really hate taking it. But apart from that, like, there are kind of a mix of slight religious beliefs. Now, I'm not a devout Christian, but I am a Christian, and I am a bit iffy on that front. But the other thing is, I hate taking hormonal medication because I hate putting hormones in my body and already messing up hormonal levels. And there is quite a lot of evidence, actually, when you look into it and research into it, which has pill linked to things like infertility and numerous other issues. So I'm not a fan of it for anything other than contraception. For contraception, it's been wonderful. It's given women a lot of freedom, and I am totally, you know, supportive of that, but it's used for too much, in my opinion. But the third thing is that I have reacted badly to hormones in the past, and I've actually just rejected them out of my body. So that's not really an option for me. I just want to solve the underlying cause of this. And the last thing is diet. Yes, I know how important diet is for this, and I have seen so many people go on about vegan diets and everything diet and whatever diet. The problem is, and I think I've said this several times before, I have a history of my body not kind of subconsciously starving itself, I think is the word. I don't deliberately try not to eat, but what happens is that my body just feels like when I change my diet, registers that as a loss of control, and I have a big issue with having like no control over my body. So I will kind of stop eating properly, and I will just, you know, not eat for several days. And when that happens, my appetite dramatically decreases, and then it's so hard to build it up again. And I've just got to a point now where I'm starting to eat regularly and maintain my weight, which is really good, and I'm really pleased that that's happening. But I have to be very careful with my diet. But I am making small changes that happen. So, you know, we do eat organic fruit and veg. My parents cook most meals because my dad has a heart issue, so we don't have any fat or salt with our stuff. But also drinking lots more water is important. So I am doing those things kind of slowly and phasing out the fizzy drinks and all that kind of stuff, because I know that's bad for you, and like aspartame poisoning and all that sort of stuff. I think I've pronounced that wrong, but I'm sorry. So yeah, that is basically what this video is about. It's kind of for both you and me, so I can look back and see what happened on this day, and I wanted to say it while it was still fresh in my mind and I could remember everything. But that's it. I've probably forgotten something I really wanted to mention in this video, but this video is getting really long anyway. So thank you so much for watching, guys. Please subscribe, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.